Hey guys, what's going on? Hope your days are going absolutely fantastic. And I wanted to make this video. I have work pretty soon. I wanted to make this video real quick because I haven't really seen this topic touched, really, like at all. Like if it has been touched, it's been touched very little bit. But it's something that kind of came to me while I was watching the show Rick and Morty. Now, Rick and Morty, if you're aware, is about a show with grandpa and his kid. It's his grandkid, and it's a spin-off of, Doc and Marty. Obviously Back in the Future, and it's great. The show's excellent. It absolutely has an incredible story. It follows up through with each episode. There's theories of different dimensions and stuff, and for a science fiction show, it's absolutely fantastic. But the thing with me is that as a Christian, like obviously I'm a Christian, you can tell by the title, and why I absolutely adore, like I love Rick and Morty, besides the reason that it's good, is because of the fact that it's fan following, only proving more to what the show kind of puts out. Let me explain. So my first point is how this is more towards like people that really support Rick and Morty, that are atheists, and say like, oh yeah, atheism is right because Rick does this and he does this and he's proving religion wrong. He's so smart. but in contrary, it's actually, I think that some of the points the show gets across is how atheists aren't too intelligent, and that's kind of the satire it brings across the premise of the show. 5 points I have. So number one is that it constantly shoots himself in the foot. Like as an atheist. You always see points in Rick and Morty, and this would just kind of be like an outline to this whole video. You constantly see points in Rick and Morty that the show always, I mean always, has some place where there's a belief in some atheistic belief that starts at one point of the show, but then somewhat adapts to something else at the end. And this goes into my second point. It makes fun of the arrogance of atheism. Like although like atheists support Rick in the show, like yeah, what an amazing atheist. He's this great intelligent man. He doesn't need a god. Whose god doesn't need that? There's like that one episode where you saw Rick saying, "Summer, there's no god. Like don't even worry about it. There's no god. Like there's no point. We're at the dinner table." And it's like, okay, he's getting his points across as an atheist. It's a fair point, whatever. But then you see later, I don't know if it's the same episode or if it's a different episode. You see later, when Rick accidentally creates another dimension, by Morty and Summer doing something completely different. If you remember, they split the timeline in like two, and they're like, oh great, now we're in two different dimensions, and it's like, quick, hide in the cabinet, wait, no, don't do that, and this is Rick talking, don't do that, the other Rick's gonna find out where you are, and then you start shooting the cabinet, and he's like, this is the way you want to see children die, and it's hilarious. But towards the end of the show, one out of like, I don't know, the 64 or 100 and something dimensions goes off, and they all get this collar to put him back together after being visited by this multi-dimensional creature, and they put the collars on, and except one of them loses it, and he gives it to Morty. The Rick gives it to Morty, and then Rick says, "I'm okay with this. I'm okay with just dying." And then as soon as he sees the collar floating in space, he goes, "Oh God, no, I'm not okay with this." And then what he says right after that, like, it should astonish the audience, but it passes by them so, like, nonchalantly. But he's like, "Oh, sweet Jesus, Lord in heaven, please, Lord, help me go and get this collar. I'll do this and this for you. I'll worship you forever and ever. Please, God, if there's be merciful to me. If there's a hell, be merciful." And like he says all this stuff, and once he's on, he's like, "Yeah, F you. There's no God. Aha, yeah, And right there, like after you could even say God saves his life, then he shows to be arrogant and ungrateful for the very being that actually, or even the very chance, but he's giving credit to that being when during the action before the final result came in. He gave credit to the being known as God and Jesus right before he actually did what he needed to do. So, I mean, right there, it makes fun of the arrogance of atheists saying, oh, you know what? I don't need God anymore, so I guess there is no God. Like, in a way, it's like, God just helped you. And then now you're saying, oh, there's no God. It's like, the fact, you can, I know science fiction might be digging a little deep into this, but the fact, that he can do this and swim, like, in space, like, in the reality, if you do this with your arms, it doesn't matter, because when you're in space, there's no gravity, so there's nothing for you to do this unless you have something to hold on to, and you can apply some kind of force to counter your body weight to be able to plunge yourself forward. And in space, that doesn't happen. So, I mean, you could do supernatural thing there. Maybe I'm looking a little bit too into it, but yeah. So that's just one of the things. My third point I want to get across is there's a constant afterlife that they always bring up. They always say there's no God, disappear into nothingness, nothing's gonna happen to you, you're just gonna die and move on. But I mean, constantly, you're seeing evidence of an afterlife. Like we just saw in the recent episode from this new season, actually, of this guy that said, oh, okay, if you shoot me, I'm gonna go to an orgasmic heaven. And it's like, okay, and so and then Rick comes out later with a gun, he's like, do you want to be in the head? Or where do you want it? And right before that, Morty tells him, oh, you need evidence. And the guy's like, evidence? What evidence? And people who are Christians, like me, we live in a very anti-Christian society, and you would know that to be able to combat atheist arguments, you need evidence. Me personally, me being a Christian, I have grown up all my life being a Christian, but I also needed evidence. Like stuff with like Noah's Ark being evidence, where the apostles were, the testimonies, the thousands of people that have actually seen heaven and hell. That'll actually go into this. That like coming back to life after the brain. Let me add, after the brain has already been shut off. Like after it stops sending signals to the body, trying to like rescue any reserve of oxygen for itself. After all that, people have come back to life miraculously. Thousands of people throughout history, thousands. And they claim they've seen the exact descriptions of hell according to the Bible, or the exact description of heaven according to the Bible. And I mean, what we just saw in this last episode, as soon as the guy started running away, he got hit by a car, he got out of his body, as a spirit, and then, so A, spirits, okay? And then B, he was pulled down by that black-shaped, like, demon things, pulling him down. And I'm just thinking to myself, he's like, I shouldn't have doubted. I mean, right there, right in front of his eyes, he's like, oh, I guess that's a lot of evidence that there is an afterlife. It's like, isn't this guy supposed to be the representative of atheists and how smart they are and how they can outsmart any religious society that are apparently man-made? I mean, it's like, oh, I guess that's a lot of evidence, especially they saw someone being dragged down to hell. Another instance is like, what you see on the commercials for Rick and Morty on the multi-dimensional TV. They see Lucky Charms, and the kids start digging into the Lucky Charms guy's guts, and he's like, "Oh, God, help me!" Oh, and yeah, even though it's like kind of like saying, "Oh, God's not gonna help you when you die," it's not real. But that wouldn't make sense because then there's demons that he's like, "Oh, I see the demons," and like they start pulling him down. Like another one, third one, I think this would be my last one for this point, is that they're in a comedy club. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, and he's like, says like some like minor like satirical humor. He's like, oh, yeah, you should die. Oh, yeah, you know what? I don't care. Hey, demons, take his soul. I don't give a crap. Screw him. And I mean, he's even pointing out the evidence of demons taking people after they die. Or I guess in that point, just for the humor's sake, he takes them after everything's already been established. I mean, it's funny to me. It's really funny because Rick and Morty opens some holes that really atheists don't ever think about opening. Usually when people think atheists, because I mean it is a system of beliefs. Your belief is in the disbelief of any god. That's your belief. In a way it's kind of like a religion. And I mean you have to put your faith somewhere. Some people put it into scientific methods, some people put it into like aliens or whatever. Some people, and they put their faith into something else. The only difference between religion and atheism is that religion's established while atheism isn't. It's just like, oh, I don't want to believe it because I don't want to believe it. Okay, fine, that's fine. You don't have a purpose or a meaning to why you believe what you believe. Or maybe you do. But, I mean, it's not really been backed up to the years, A lot of people started off basing it off Darwinism of like the hardcore Darwinism, people where things not only adapt to their environment, but they evolve. And it comes to a point where it's like, okay, well, you believe that, that's fine. But then that questions certain things. I mean, you can look at the way how the skunks are made, the bombardung beetle, in ways that evolution can't make. I mean, there's no full skeleton set, and I'll stop my off-topicing right after this. But there's been no full skeletal set of a full, like, half ape, half man transition. I mean, and you know that this is interesting. Every skull that's been found of the hybrid of the in-between stages between a man and an ape has been fake. Every single one. They've all been made and constructed into, regardless of what you believe, I don't really care, because facts don't really care about your feelings. But they've all been constructed by a man to make a quick buck. The only one that wasn't constructed was Neanderthal man. And most scientists, most, not all, but most scientists say the Neanderthal man was actually a man with a case of arthritis. And I mean, there's so little evidence for evolution because, I mean, just because we're made so, or I guess we are now so incredibly advanced, unique, people think we evolved and adapted our way there, but like, the creation argument would be like, why can't we just be made this way and be built to survive for thousands of years? Like, I don't understand why we can't open up that understanding, at least not in public schools or anything. Why can't we open up that understanding saying like, why can't we at least be open to the idea that we were made? Like, why can't we have, okay, fine, like, let's teach evolution, fine, but why can't we teach creation as well? Pick your side, you know, pick your poison, well, whatever works for you. But, yeah, and then try to find the truth that way. And I think there would be a lot more creationists than there would be evolutionists from the amount of evidence that things do substantiate themselves from. Yeah, anyways, that's just personal opinion. So, I'll go on my fourth point. Rick and Morty proclaims how meaningless life really is. If you remember one of the episodes when Rick's battery in his, flying ship was powered by a miniverse, he goes in, makes sure everyone's in line, and they keep powering his ship. Well, when he finds out that miniverse has a miniverse, he makes the same, argument that Morty makes, saying, oh, these people are just slaves for you then. Goes on some philosophy levels, fine, cool. But then they go on one point where he just says, like, it's like one of the people that's been made by the creator, which has been made by the creator, in the double miniverse, that absolutely just says, wait, so he's from my multiverse, which is, he created my multiverse, which created his multiverse. And then Morty's like, yep, sounds about right, isn't that fun? And he gets in his ship and crashes into a wall. I mean, because he finds no meaning in his life if it's all just a joke, And so, like, my thing was be like, why would we be focusing so much on this one, God, my hair, I feel like a rooster. Why would we be focusing on this one philosophy that life's absolutely meaningless, in which, in a way, I kind of agree with. I think it's meaningless without God. But it's funny, because this philosophy matches up with a book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is a book in the Bible that strictly talks about just people that telling, okay, well, you can try sex, you can try drugs, a whole bunch of pleasures in life, you could try getting the most money, you could try doing all this stuff to find meaning in your life. But this is written by King of Israel. His name was Solomon, David's kid. And he just said, you know what? I tried all that, and it's all meaningless. Like, there was no point of it, And also, like, the sun, it'll come up, it'll go down, go down, constant rotation, and chasing after the wind, and you'll just die. There's no meaning to anything. And then there's an author at the very end of the book that actually states that if you aren't in a relationship with God, and if you are really just struggling after the views of the world, then everything is meaningless. Like, there's no purpose to be striving anything here. But then it also says in the Bible to, make what we have here and prosper here while we're on this earth. Because initially, according to a Christian point of view, God created us to be in a relationship with Him. It's why we exist. It's why atheists and people usually of other religions feel empty. Like, usually. That's more of my opinion. And so it's kind of like being programmed to do something, but in fact you're doing something else that you're not supposed to be doing, and so you're starting to malfunction because you need to do that certain capacity, or else you won't work. And that's why people, there's a lot of issues of loneliness and depression and stuff. And I don't know. It happens. Yeah, it sucks and it's painful, but I mean, this stuff happens. And yeah, it shows how pointless life is when you're not in a relationship with, according to the Bible, this loving God that'll fill you, like literally supernaturally fill you on the inside when you're in a relationship with him. You know, there's a reason why atheists see this as being meaningless, or why Rick and Morty finds this to be so meaningless of life, because it's not valid. Like, it's pointless. Even there's a point where Morty tips over a jar of something that holds a living being, and it's a baby, then it grows, and it's an old man, then it dies, and then Morty's like, oh, he's like traumatized with the whole experience, and then Rick just like, don't think about it, and just walks away. Like, that's his big thing about the whole show. Don't think about it. Oh, why are we here? Don't think about it. You know, in a way, it's like, stop thinking about why we're here and just accept that things suck, whatever, enjoy your life. So, I mean, it's such a shallow mindset of thinking that it's just not intelligent. It's just not smart. And in that way, it constantly proclaims how meaningless life is. And again, back to my first point, it shoots itself in the foot. Because he's supposed to be this incredibly smart man who's just disproving God and just doing this, but he's just saying, don't think about it. Like that's his whole premise of the show, just don't think about it. And what's going to happen when you die, don't think about it. And then what happens to the people who actually die in the show, you see they're actually dragged to hell by demons. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. Ironic. The fifth point. Rick proves to be one of, if not the most morally absent character throughout the show. I mean, his character seeps into depression and drinking problem and absence from his family. There's a reason why I said wubba lubba dub dub. You know, he's like, oh, that means I'm in great pain. You know, according to the bird people's languages. And I mean, it's funny. It's really funny because he says like how absent and void and in pain he is all the time. And I mean, sure, yeah, there's a solution. It's like, oh, we just needed this boost, or oh no, Rick. And then he just gets into my my horrible Rick and Morty impressions. And he really gets into this place of saying, wow, like it's just not okay. I'm not okay. I'm in pain. I'm suffering, and I'm doing all this stuff in pleasures. Again, going back to Ecclesiastes, I did all these pleasures, all these women, and I'm still in great pain. Like, I'm doing drugs, I'm an alcoholic, shouldn't be caring, but I'm still in pain. And so you really have to wonder at that point, what's the goal? Like, what's the reason, the motivation for doing these things? Like, it's just there's no reason to really keep on living, thus making life absent and meaningless, you know? I mean, you get drunk one night, it's fun, then you wake up with maybe a mistake or a hangover and you're in pain. Like, it doesn't seem worth it. And so, I mean, so the conclusion I want to get to is that even though I love Rick and Morty, but I love it even more as a Christian because it proves the absolute madness and ignorance of atheism, and it's funny to me. It's really actually quite hilarious. I find that Christians are kind of forced to be open up to atheistic ideas, especially in public schools, with the Big Bang being from nothing, which is literally like billions upon billions and billions of chances actually happening perfectly like it is now. Just a side note. Evolution. And just all this stuff that atheists says has happened, and it really doesn't have a lot of proof of. You know, they teach the theories and teach it as fact, so that you'll believe it. You know, especially to kids, it's what they do. So, I mean, it's really interesting that Christians have to be able to adapt to a place where it's teaching ungodlike ideals, but atheists won't be able to have to adapt to a place that serves Christian ideals, or that's too offensive. It's too offensive, you know? You can teach a Christian your ideals, but Christians can't teach you their ideals, or else it's offensive. And so, you know, more social justice warrior bull crap. But yeah, so this is the channel. This is the random discussions of this channel. Gosh dang it, I'm on my feet and knees. Yeah, well, this is a board I use for my gaming channel, and that's just like, yeah. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Yeah, if you guys are all going to get super pissy, then, I mean, you don't have to be here, leave. But if you guys actually have some good points, or want to start discussion, arguments, whatever, fine, just make sure you actually not like oh, you bigot, you uneducated religious person, fine. But actually bring good arguments to the table. Like, I actually want to hear some good stuff from you guys. Like, I don't want to hear some like name calling bull crap, because that just shows that you're dumb. And so, I mean, if you guys support, put that in the comments. If you go against, put that in the comments. Go for it. Do it. I dare you. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you guys around.